Hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council's public hearing for Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. My name is Kim Clark Baskin, and I'm your Deputy City Clerk. With us today, we have our sign language interpreter, John Blasco. The following is a piece of legislation to be heard by Pittsburgh City Council. Bill number 1371. Resolution providing for the designation as a historic structure under Title 11 of the Code of Ordinances that certain structure known as the Carrick Municipal Hall, located at 1806 Brownsville Road, 29th Ward, City of Pittsburgh. That concludes the piece of legislation up for discussion. Thank you and have a great day.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this public hearing of Pittsburgh City Council for today, Wednesday, March the 20th, 2019. It is in reference to Bill 1371. For the record, I'm Councilman Kraus. I'll be chairing this afternoon's public hearing. Members may choose to join us shortly. We are joined today by Sarah Quinn, who is our Historic Preservation Planner in the Department of City Planning, and Matthew Falcone, who is the President of Pittsburgh Preservation. Preservation.
Pittsburgh. Switch it. You got
Preservation Pittsburgh. Forgive me. Thank you. President of Preservation Pittsburgh. I'll get it, Matthew. Thank you very much for being here. Madam Clerk, if we may please begin with the purpose of Bill 1371.
Bill number 1371, resolution providing for the designation as a historic structure under Title 11 of the Code of Ordinances that certain structure known as the Carrick Municipal Hall, located at 1806 Brownsville Road in the 29th Ward, City of Pittsburgh.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. This is a magnificent building. It's really beautiful. Sarah, so if you may begin with your presentation, and then, of course, we'll entertain remarks from Matthew as well.
Okay. The Carrick Municipal Hall is located at 1806 Brownsville Road, and it's a brick and stone building constructed using eclecticism architecture with a heavy influence of Dutch Revival. The second story, a mix of stone and brickwork, flanks a large elliptical window. The window is divided into 4 sections, though different from the original 3 sections. The large window opening remains the same. The bottom row of windows consists of double hung, while arched second row consists of paned window glass. Stone coins decorate the window along its arch. Below the window, a 1-bay fire truck entrance with wooden slat doors stands in a once heavily trafficked firefighter's driveway leading to Brownsville Road. While certain aspects and features have changed throughout the years in the building, its historical image remains the same. The building is set back from the street just as it was in 1910, while its neighboring buildings remain further out on the sidewalk. The south bay of the building is topped with a stone medallion inscribed erected in 1905. This pediment is flanked on either side by limestone ball finials sitting atop stone plinths matching the stone finials and plinths that once stood on either side of the arching parapet. Just below this sits a limestone plaque reading Borough of Carrick Incorporated 1921. And a photo of the building is on the cover of your packet, so you can see the large arched window as well as the second bay with the man door to the side. In 1853, the surrounding neighborhood was officially named Carrick. During the 1850s, this area switched from an agricultural area to one that focused on mining due to the rich coal seams below ground. The discovery of coal furthered the need for trade transportation routes. Brownsville is one of the longest running roads in the area and was used for transportation of farm goods to parts of the city and the surrounding areas. The Carrick portion of Brownsville Road was changed to brick, and that was the first major infrastructure change within the borough of Carrick. The borough was officially christened in 1904. This is where the need for the Carrick Municipal Hall comes into play. With the Carrick becoming a borough and being built up with homes and businesses, the Central Fire and Police Station were increasingly necessary amenities for a dense urban environment. The main goal for the borough building was to service the community in 3 specific ways. First would be a borough meeting hall. The second would be as a police station, and the final and most prominent use would be Engine Company 23, which was located on the first floor of the building. This building was designed by renowned Pittsburgh architect Edward Stotts, who has many of his buildings listed as historic landmarks throughout Pittsburgh. Stotts designed Shenley High School, Epiphany Catholic Church, as well as the Oakmont Country Club. He is most noted for many school building designs. Creating the first architectural firm in Pittsburgh, Stotts created a legacy that has lasted over 129 years. In 1927, after debate and deliberations through much of 1926 amongst the town people and council members, Carrick was annexed to the city and became the 29th ward. The final meeting of the town council of the borough of Carrick was held on January 2nd, 1927. After Carrick was annexed into Pittsburgh, the police and city offices were moved to different locations, leaving Engine Company 23 as the sole occupant of the building. The Engine Company, for the most part, made few known changes to the building with its property. One change was a storage building in the rear landscape. The largest change to the building happened in 1933 when the bell tower was torn down for structural reasons. In 1957, due to an aging building and advancing fire methods and technology, Engine Company 23 moved out of the former municipal building to a new building further down Brownsville Road. Between the departing Engine Company in 1957 and its purchase in 1988, the building remained largely empty and did not serve a purpose for the community. Between 1988 and its most recent purchase in 2007 by the current owners, Amy and Michael Kurick, the building saw some slight renovations. Most notably, the second floor window is divided into 4 sections. Though different from the original 3 sections, the opening remains the same size. The Historic Review Commission provided a positive recommendation to City Council for historic designation of this property. They felt that this property was significant as an exemplification of an architectural type in that the Dutch colonial revival style is rather unusual in the city of Pittsburgh. They felt that this property was significant as it is related to the identification of a work of an architect, designer, engineer, or builder. The former Carrick Municipal Building was designed by Edward Stotts, a renowned Pittsburgh architect noted for his significant contributions in and around the city. He's also a Pittsburgh native, having been, well, he was born in Allegheny City. Some people would debate whether he was a native to Pittsburgh or not, but he was born in Allegheny City in 1868, so he was local nonetheless. Sorry about that. Finally, the Historic Review Commission felt that this was an important representation of its association with important cultural or social aspects of the region. As the seat of government for the borough, the former municipal building is directly associated with Carrick's history development and the process by which it became part of the city of Pittsburgh. And I'd just like to mention that the Overbrook Municipal Building, the Accomando Center, was listed, a year and a half, 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. It seems that the transition from borough to neighborhood was much easier for Carrick than it was for Overbrook. But really, that's it in a nutshell. The full nominations can be found posted on our website. There's much more than what I've shared with you here in the packets that I've provided. So,
this is so interesting to talk about these things and how history was formed. Mm-hmm. I truly had no idea. The earliest documented settlers in the community that would become the neighborhood of Carrick can be traced to 1763, mm-hmm. when 2,400 acres of land granted to Major John Ormsby by George King III. Ormsby would be the first to settle what is now Carrick. And in 1818, Noble Calhoun bought all of what is now Carrick for $5,000 from Nicholas Bousman, which is where Bousman Street gets its name. Who knew? I didn't know that, you know.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that actually is mentioned in the report is Overbrook, when they became part of the city of Pittsburgh, they voted to go ahead and change the names of a bunch of their streets. But that's not something that Carrick wanted to do. It wasn't, quote unquote, a hostile takeover like it was for Overbrook. So that's why they left a lot of the street names the same. So
These are so fascinating, and in so many ways. And I personally appreciate all the work that you guys put into this. Okay, Matthew, your turn. Welcome.
Thank you. Just very quickly, the Carrick and Overbrook were both annexed after the creation of the city-county building, so they're the only two Pittsburgh neighborhoods that are absent from the ceiling here. And it is very fitting that they both would now have their former borough buildings designated as city historic landmarks.
This building's by the new library, right? It's sort of like if the new library's here, it's sort of across the street right about here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know the building well, but it's privately owned now?
It is. The owners have owned it for the past, I think, 15 years or so. They've been wonderful partners on this nomination for the past, I'd say, 3 years, as have the Carrick Community Council and the Carrick Overbrook Historic Society.
I was going to say, this is one that John Grudiak had mentioned, that when I first started here with the city, that he wanted to get designated. So it's been a long time coming.
Are they living there? What is the use of the building right now? Do you know?
Yes, there's two different businesses that occupy this space. The bottom floor is occupied by a manufacturer that produces funeral gowns, and then the top floor is a bridal boutique.
Okay, I'm going to move now into the public comment portion. We only have one public comment person. That was a terrible way to say that. We only have one person listed as wishing to make public comment, which is Yvonne Francine Brown, but Yvonne is not here, and we have no other speakers that are listed that wish to offer. But we do have the councilman that represents the Carrick area, and I bet you would like to put some. Sit with me here. So we're just talking about the fascinating things that come up when these nominations come before us. The earliest settlers of Carrick can be traced back to 1763. 1763.
You were just a little boy then.
You can leave now, okay? You can leave. There were 2,400 acres of land that were granted to John Ormsby, thus the name Ormsby Park and all those things. And he would be the first to settle Carrick. And then in 1818, Noble Calhoun bought what is known as Carrick today for $5,000 from a Nicholas Bousman, which would give
So
you
you
the
never
name
knew
of
where
Bousman.
these names
No,
came
and
from,
now we
right.
know. And now we know.
I
But
love the old picture. I just
Isn't it
love
great?
Isn't that
What a
cool as
amazing
can be?
building.
And that firehouse before the current owners. You the owners?
No.
Oh, you're with the historical
That's
preservation.
right. Sarah Quinn is our preservation
Okay, right. Yeah, I
planner.
should have recognized that. Right.
And Matt is with Preservation Pittsburgh. He's the president of Preservation Pittsburgh. I got it. You're welcome. My pleasure. So would you like to offer comment?
You know what? I just want to say this. When it comes to historic preservation, I'm not one to really, I feel like, I guess, and I've stressed this at other council meetings, that, we overstep our bounds if, say, the homeowner or the property owner doesn't necessarily want that. So, I'm kind of an advocate for not that, but I know in this case, I checked and they were all for it and they're happy about it. Therefore, I'm all for it and happy about it, and no better place than this place. I used to drive by that before she put the bridal shop there, and I used to drive by that and I thought, wow, isn't it amazing, that place? And it was run down, it was beat up and in bad shape, but now it looks beautiful, I really love it. I went through the inside. Have you been inside the place? Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous building. I wish it set out by itself more. Now those other buildings kind of like surround it.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's tucked back there. And at one time, as you could see, it was all by itself. But no, I just want to offer my support for this designation. I think it's fantastic. Again, to me, it's about the homeowners. I'm all for restoring, or keeping our, history. But yeah, this place here is well worth it. And just looking at the building, you can see the history in this place just by looking at it. Imagine a firehouse like that way back when, So.
Yep.
Where are they?
The only two neighborhoods that are not listed on the ceiling here are Carrick and Overbrook. Yep,
Because they had not been annexed
their-
at the time
yeah.
the building was built.
right.
And they had their own buildings.
And so now they are the only two neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh that have their borough building designated as a historic landmark. Yep.
And forgive me, you mentioned that this had the support of the Carrick Community Council, please.
Yep. The Carrick, they were wonderful. The Carrick Community Council and then the Carrick Overbrook Historical Society. I mean, the Historical Society actually contributed some information to the research, and the Community Council, glowingly received this. when we
So
were
I have a
talking about
question. So say, for instance, the current owners, say they wanted to expand and put an addition out the back. Is that okay? Is that right?
Yeah.
See, I always understood, Sarah, that when you come in and you designate something historical, that you can't alter the building.
That is absolutely not the case.
Okay,
And a
well, that's
lot
good
of
to know,
peop- a
because
lot of
it's
people-
partly why I take the position I take, because
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked you. So, okay, that is not the
Yeah,
case.
yeah, and honestly, if you ever want to have a cup of coffee and talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
historic stuff, we can do that. Really, what we would, if the folks that own this building wanted to put an addition on it, that would be fine. What we would look at is we would just we would want to look at the way it's designed to make sure it doesn't overshadow the existing building, that it's made with compatible materials. Yeah, that's really
Nothing
it.
keeps them from expanding, I guess.
Mhm.
However, they would need, if they wanted to alter the design, say, 10 years from now. Okay, let me just put this scenario to you. So say the current owners sell the building, okay? It stays under the preservation, right? Okay, so, and if the people 15 years from now want to, say, change the front of it, no.
It would depend on what they wanted to do.
Yeah, as you said, if you're altering the actual design of the historic structure, then that's where they're going to have problems.
Let's pretend
Okay.
that the changes that a new owner would want to make would be to reduce the 4 windows that exist now back to the completely original design of the 3 windows. That would be something we would argue for as being compatible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can find an old photograph that shows how something was put together, that's helpful. Obviously, anytime you want to do a restoration, we love that. Generally, what we would want is, as I said, photographs, so we're not creating Williamsburg or something that wasn't there. Yeah. Generally, if you can't see it from a public right-of-way, which would be an alley, roadway, or sidewalk, we don't really worry about it.
You know what, it changes my opinion on the whole thing a little bit, just talking to you a little bit today, Sarah, knowing about the altercations or the changes that somebody might want to make. And as far as an addition goes out the back,
Yeah.
they don't need to be, as long as it's not seen from the front of the road and doesn't change what we see here.
They would probably have more trouble with zoning than they would
Yeah,
with
sure,
us.
right,
You
okay.
know?
Yeah, especially this building because as you know, I mean, the back is almost an
Oh, yeah,
entire
yeah.
story. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm sure they don't plan to build on. I'm really just using this as a reference for future
Yeah.
properties, I guess, that come in front of us. But I was so glad to hear the owners were, I think they're happy about that.
They're-
Kind of sets their building aside, makes it special.
Absolutely.
They've been wonderful caretakers of the building.
You know
and-
what, Matt? I couldn't agree with you more with that,
You know.
man. I really thought at one time, well, this place just needs to come down because it was in disarray only 10 years ago, not even. And to see what they did when they came in there is perfect, I thought, And it really did to restore to, I felt, almost its luster here, And, it's a place you can go buy a wedding gown now rather than put out a fire, but We don't care about that, you know?
Well, it's got the original garage door still, doesn't it?
It does.
So.
Is that right?
Yep.
And what year was this built? Do we know?
1907? Is that right?
Oh, God, hold on.
Well, I can tell by the outfits here and the boys in their knickers and stuff like that, you know, it's definitely, it's dated.
Erected
you know?
1905.
1905. How about you this picture was taken about 1918? I bet you.
And we were able to find one of the interior with the whole fire crew in front of the fire engine and in the staircase in
right?
the background. It was really,
No kidding. I
Yeah.
wonder if the owners have those pictures or if they would want to display them in there. That would be really cool to, you know, kind of display those on the wall in there.
I think they have a couple, not in the entranceway, but in that shop that's in the
do
back.
they?
I think they have a couple. And I know that when they bought it, there were 3 different floors to it. You know, the first one that actually fronts the back of the building was the police department. So you had the cells that are now in the basement. And the first floor was the firemen, and then the top floor was the borough councilors. And when they bought it, the basement had been converted into storage, you know. But everything that was in storage was all these Kaufman displays, you know, from when it was a borough hall and when it was a fire department. They had all these displays for the windows, you know. And they said, well, what are we going to do with them? You know, we don't want to get rid of them. The basement is actually just filled with all these different holiday displays. It's great.
So they still have them?
Yeah.
Is that right? I'd like to tour the place, tell you the truth.
Okay, we good?
I'm great.
Yeah, we're good.
That's good.
We're
Thanks,
good. Thank you. Always a
Thank you.
pleasure having you guys here, and I truly, genuinely appreciate the work that you guys do. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Go ahead. I know you like to bang that thing. Go and do your thing.